Hello, this is Nancy with Yoga Journeys 108, and I thought for the beginning of the year we could get back to the basics with yoga. Okay, now the most basic thing about yoga is the breath. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of breathing exercise to kind of get some intentional connection with our breathing. Okay, because that's what's going to separate a yoga class from just an exercise or stretching class. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is come into easy pose. Easy pose is called easy pose for a reason, because it should be more or less easy. So if easy for you is having one ankle in front of the other, that's great. It could be crisscross applesauce, having the shins one in front of the other crossed, getting up on a bolster. And you don't need to spend a lot of money for bolster. I'm using a couch cushion right now. And now if the hips just are saying no way for any kind of crossing, you could just as easily extend your legs out. So find what an easy pose is for you. And then from there, let's bring some attention to where your body connects with the ground. Okay, just find that stability. Maybe even move around a little bit to really find where your body sinks into gravity. Okay, now from there, for every action there's a reaction. So we sink into our sit bones, sink into the connections of our legs to the ground, and then kind of find a rebound lightness coming up through the center of the body. And imagine a balloon right at the crown of the head, lifting you up. So let your neck grow nice and long. So let's start to just notice the breath. Okay, we don't have to go anywhere with it. We just notice where it is. Notice it coming in through the nose. Notice how it runs down the back of the throat. Notice what part of the body it expands with every inhale and how it contracts with the exhale. Okay, don't try to change anything yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. So just start off noticing the breath. Okay, now once that you've noticed the breath, once you have a pretty good idea of where it's going, now we're going to start to guide it. Okay, we're not forcing anything. We're just gently guiding the breath. And let's let the belly be nice and soft. Now, if you're like most of us in the West, we've probably spent most of our lifetimes holding that lower abs in. Well, right now, release that completely, and just let the belly fill up with air. And exhale. In fact, bring your hands to your lower belly, below your navel. Inhale through the nose, feel the belly expand like a balloon, and exhale, gently draw it in at the bottom of the exhale. Trying to lengthen the breath, keeping it nice and smooth, inhaling and exhaling. Now, there are many kinds of breathing in yoga, but having that nice belly breath is a really great place to start. Okay, it just brings some attention into where your breathing is, because when we get into uncomfortable positions, what's the first thing that happens? Our breath starts to become shallow. The next stage is to bring a little bit of movement with the breath so we can coordinate our motion with the breathing. So as we inhale, we're going to take our arms and just sweep them up overhead. And exhale, release it. Coming back down. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, coming down. And now what the breath is trying to encourage is kind of a mindfulness of the movement that we're going through at this present moment. Inhale, feel the air filling the belly as we reach up, feel the muscles of the arms. Exhale down. What this is doing is it's bringing us into the present moment, because that's one of the things, that's one of the goals of yoga, is to bring us right here, right now. And that's one of the things that helps us de-stress. Let's do one more. Inhale, feel the belly, feel all the way up to the crown of the head. And exhale, lower it down. Okay, and now let's think of the breath within a pose. For this one, we're going to go into a twist. So we're just going to take our right hand behind and just rest it on the bolster. What this is going to do is going to give length through the crown of the head. Okay, let's reach up with that left arm and cross it across the body, letting it rest on the right thigh. And let's roll that shoulder open. And now that we're in the twist, bring attention to the breath. Now in a twist, the belly's not going to be quite as open to filling up. And just notice how that changes. And notice what your mind does when you're in a pose, breathing intentionally. We're trying to cultivate that quiet observer within ourselves, the non-judgmental observer. Inhale here. And exhale, release. Were you able to keep that belly breathing through the whole thing? Excellent. So in yoga, we do a lot of work with the spine. So what we're going to go through is the various positions of the spine. The neutral position, the flexion, which is the forward bendings, and the extension of the spine, which are back bends and chest openers, okay? So we're just going to go over the basic alignment for those things. So first we're going to start in neutral, and one of the very neutral positions in yoga is mountain pose. Okay, and so to successfully complete mountain pose, we want to go from the ground up. Okay, so first we look at our feet, and we want to have them parallel to our hips. Okay, so when I say parallel, let's look at the outer blades of the feet. Those are what we want parallel. So that might feel a little bit pigeon-toed. Okay, and then I want you to find what they call the four corners of the feet. So that's the balls of the big toe, balls of the little toe, outer heels, inner heels. See if you can find those corners of your feet. Try to send that awareness, try to bring that kind of like physical intelligence to the bottom of your feet. And from there, we're going to draw energy up the thighs. So our thighs are nice and engaged. So lift the kneecaps, actually take the flesh of the thighs and like draw them up. Oh, okay. We're slightly rotating the inner thighs inward. Slightly spreading the thighs around behind. Now we're going to neutralize the pelvis. So we don't, oftentimes when we're standing, we often tilt our pelvis this way, our bum sticks out, or we hunch this way. So we want to come right to a neutral place with our pelvis. Imagine it's a big fish bowl and we don't want to spill any of the water. Okay, and now we're going to draw in our lower abs. Squeeze your hip bones together. Okay, you can't do it, it's a bone, but imagine you can. Pull your hip bones toward each other. What you're doing is you're engaging the lower abs, transverse abdominis, for those who are anatomy freaks like me. Draw them in. And now from here, we got to open our chest. Bring the shoulder blades behind you slightly together. Okay. Now what probably happened, and what usually does when we're ever told to open our chest, is this. Our lower ribs pop out. Well, we want to contain those. We want those lower ribs right above the hip bones. Shoulders roll back and open and containment through the ribs. Keep drawing those hip bones together. And now grow the neck out of the shoulders. Okay, we tend to, from sitting at computers or driving, jut our chin forward. So we want to contain that so we get lots of length through the back of the neck. It's not going to be pretty. You're not going to be in the cover of Vogue for this one because you might add a couple chins there. But this is the kind of alignment we want. Nice and strong, stable foundation through the legs. And there's kind of a lift coming all the way up to the crown of the head. And now get attached to the breath. Okay, and so that's our neutral position for the spine. Next, we're going to go into flexion of the spine. Those are our forward folds. And what do we need to be doing there? Okay, well, first of all, we need to find the hinge of the hips. Okay, a lot of people, when they're told to bend and get their toes, there's this. Okay, all the little vertebrae of the spine, we're pulling all the little vertebrae to get toward the ground. Okay, our goal is not to get to the ground. Our goal is to hinge from a natural hinge. That's our hip sockets. And so let's even grab our hips. Send our hips back. Bring our fingers into the creases right there. Press those in. Try to keep the spine nice and long as you fold over. Okay, if this is unavailable, then let's bend the knees nice and deep to rest the chest right on the thighs. Let's even hug the thighs. Now that's going to encourage that book closure in the hips. Okay, and now from here, we release the head, release the neck, and slowly just suggest to the sit bones to lift up. Okay. Maybe you're here, maybe you stay right here the whole time, that's fine.
because we really need to keep the integrity there of that hip hinge.
Now, just like we did at standing, we want to try to find the fold at the hip hinge, okay? Lots of attention to the hip hinge. I'm using a bolster to help tilt the pelvis forward because now we're coming off of neutral and we're coming into a forward bend. Another option on the ground is to move the flesh of the bum away so the sit bones can reach back as the sternum, that's the middle of the chest right here, draws forward over the legs, okay? Now again, this is going to have a variety of ranges here. If you are here and you just bend about 5 degrees, you're feeling it on the back of your legs, you're hinging at your hips, that's incredible. That's all you need. If you're finding the sensations along the back of the legs, you can maintain that long, intentional breath, you're doing yoga. You don't have to have a foot behind your head to be doing yoga. So let's get it. So even in a static pose like a forward fold, like when we're standing, we're going to inhale that sternum up and out away from the hips. And on the exhales, we're going to just see if gravity can invite us a little bit deeper. Maybe you'll stay here for the rest of your life, right in this angle. Maybe someday you get all the way down to those legs in a forward fold. Wherever you are, keep the awareness in the breath. So even here with the belly nice and compressed, we're going to still find that deep intentional breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose as well. And notice how the breath moves the body in this deep forward fold or even here. And again, without judgment or value, just noticing. So the next thing we need to look at are back bends. Okay, so we've had our neutral spine, we've had a forward fold, and now we're going to look at extending the spine. So let's start right on our bellies. We're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders. We're just going to lift up slightly. Keep those elbows in line with the shoulders, okay? We're not winging out here, we're right in here. Let's bring our shoulders, roll our shoulder blades down toward our sit bones. Let's engage our feet, okay? And find the pelvis. Can you find it? Rock back and forth a little bit. We want to draw the tailbone down toward our heels. Then we want, again, like with our forward fold, we want to bring our sternum forward and out. And let's bring those shoulder blades together and lift the heart. Notice where you're feeling this. Bring the breath into the body. Feel how that feels as the breath expands into the mat. Inhale here and lower down. So it's quite important to have a little bit of awareness with your shoulder blades because your shoulder blades is what's stabilizing your chest, okay? So we're gonna roll the shoulder heads back, draw the shoulder blades together when we go into any type of back bend, whether it's a cobra or the camel. Okay, this next pose is another type of back bend, but will be upright, okay? This is called the camel, and we're gonna set up with our knees straight under our hips, okay? We could tuck our toes or keep them flat. I like to tuck my toes. And again, with the one that we did on the floor, the cobra, we want to keep those shoulder blades tending toward the center of our spine, like hands. So those hands are going to let us lift the chest and lean the head back. Okay, so to start out with your back bends, we're not focusing on, oh, how far can I get my head to the heels? We're going to start out with lifting the middle of the chest toward the sky, okay? That's all we're doing. And one of the ways we can affect that is by pressing the hips so that they remain over the knees. Okay, so let's roll our shoulders back. We can press our pelvis forward to open our heart. And now find the breath. So in our back bends, the breath might move a little bit differently through the belly, through the ribs, through the chest, and just test that out. Notice what that's doing. Keep finding that lift up through the center of the chest, through the sternum. For the final thing, for our yoga basic video, we need to look at the alignment of the arms, shoulders, and wrist. There are many poses in yoga where wrist elbows, shoulders are all in one line. So we need to get used to maintaining that alignment throughout our range of motion. So we can hold our block between our thumb and forefinger and just try to test it out behind the head. Draw those elbows in because they'll want to come out. We'll draw them in, coming down, full range of motion. Drop the shoulders, bend the elbows. Okay. Now where we're going to see this a lot is in our push-up position. We're not doing push-ups like the standard push-up for the pecs. We're doing tricep push-ups, which are very close into the midline, hugging into the ribs. Okay, so let's look at the arm and shoulder alignment before we actually have to put weight on them. Okay, so nice to use a wall because we're going to be doing some tricep push-ups as part of our yoga practice. So we want to make sure that those elbows are hugged in nice and tight. And then we want to make sure that we can have some freedom in our hands, that we can get this 90-degree angle action going. So let's test that out by coming right to the wall. And again, like in mountain, we want to lift the lower abs, roll the inner thighs together. But with the arms now, we want to squeeze those elbows in. Shoulder blades are gently pulling toward one another to keep the chest nice and broad. Again, we're containing our middle core. So yeah, let's press into the wall. To get used to weight bearing on this with this kind of alignment, especially for those who are really used to doing push-ups like this, we come on our knees and just practice bringing our weight, lowering our weight toward the mat with the elbows squeezing into the ribs. Okay. Just coming back, coming out. Bend in, press up, extend. And just do a few of these just to get used to that action. So once we have that, then we can tuck our toes and come on up into downward dog. Notice the arm alignment does not change as I come into plank, does not change as I lower down. Doesn't even change when I come up into upward dog from there. The arms are in their place. So that's a few of the basics that are good to know before coming into a yoga class. Just the intelligence in the back bends, the intelligence of the hip hinge of a forward fold, what an actual neutral spine might feel like, and some of the positioning of the arms. Don't be intimidated by what you think yoga might be. Yoga is not about being able to do the splits upside down, backwards, and twist your legs up through your arms. It's not about that. It's about coming into the body, coming into the mind, so that you can relax the body and mind fully and completely. If you like this video, please hit like. If you want to see more, please hit subscribe. And if you have any comments, questions, or even requests for future videos, please send a little comment down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me in the journey. Namaste.